Alright, so the Season 8 patch notes are out, and there are tons of things we can go through with legend nerfs and buffs, weapon nerfs and buffs, a big change to the UI that I know you guys are going to be excited about, and changes to weapon attachments. Now, the big UI change is going to be the damage counter. This is a hugely requested feature in the community, and finally, if you're getting close to unlocking a new badge and you want to hit that badge without maybe dying, now you can just look up at that damage counter and make sure that you're not coming short, right? This is going to be a great thing. Now, legend changes. Wraith mains, be very afraid, because the hitbox nerf is coming in for Wraith, and she's going to be thick, especially in the waist area and in the legs area. Now, the problem with Wraith, as far as Respawn says, is even with Horizon being in the game, Wraith still holds the #1 win rate in the game, and they want to bring that down. And the way they're going to do that is with the hitbox. I've got the image up right now so you can check it out. And even though the Pathfinder hitbox changes were a little bit harder for me to see, I can definitely see the changes in the hitbox for Wraith. These are very obvious, and she's getting a little bit thick. Now, if you combine this with the run animation changes, she no longer has that low Naruto run that people were used to. She runs straight up in the air. If you combine that with the fact that she still has low profile, I am expecting the Wraith win rate to probably go down. She's going to be a lot harder to hit now, I think. The next change is going to be for Octane's jump pad. Now, ever since they added the double jump, it was a little buggy with the input, and they wanted to get rid of the input. So now the only thing you have to change is the way you approach the jump pad. A normal bounce, if you just hit it, would be much higher and more vertical if you want to go up. And if you want to crouch and slide into the jump pad, that's going to cause a further, more horizontal movement. So that's going to be a great change for Octane, and we'll see how it goes, especially since Horizon's Tactical had a much shorter cooldown and was much more effective for gaining high ground. Now Octane can do it just by getting on the jump pad and having more options, so that's great. Next, Rampart. The Sheila angle has been increased from 120 degrees up to 180 degrees, so you can do a half circle almost, right? So you can see a lot more angles. If you're in a building, you can see more doors because there are so many doors from different angles, and that should definitely help her. Now, another change with Rampart is the wall health in the build phase has been increased from 1 HP to 45 HP. So just throwing up a wall and having people knock it down won't be as much of a problem as they have to deal that full 45 HP. Now, the thing about it is sniper ammo still goes through if you're being shot by a sniper, and they didn't mention the punch damage to bring it down, but my assumption is it's still going to take like a punch to destroy this thing, and that should help Rampart a bit. Now, the hero or legend that everyone has been really worried about how they're going to buff or nerf her is going to be Horizon. Now, the gravity lift cooldown has been increased from 21 seconds to 25 seconds. So the effective cooldown is about 15 seconds as soon as the gravity lift disappears. And that nerf is going to be only there. So for instance, there's no nerf for the ultimate. There's no change for the height of the gravity lift, and there's no change for the strafe speed on the gravity lift. And those would be two really big changes. I'm expecting Horizon to still have a pretty high pick rate after this, especially with some of the other changes not coming through. Lobe is only getting a quality of life change where you can see loot within the care packages that come down, and you could also use your black market to loot it. Now, small change with Caustic. Once he dies, the gas disappears. That's great if you're an enemy. And Mirage decoys now make footsteps. At least someone does. Now, weapon attachments. There's going to be some interesting changes here. Now, first of all, they're going to be removing the gold barrel. Now, this is not so much a problem. If you guys remember some of the earlier seasons where muzzle flash was a huge problem in Apex, and the gold barrel was an option of getting rid of some of that muzzle flash, a lot of that muzzle flash has been fixed in engine, so you don't really need a gold barrel so much as you need it in some of the earlier seasons. So it's understandable that the gold barrel is going to be removed. Double tap has been removed from the G7 and the EVA. And on the EVA, the fire rate has been increased from 2.0 to 2.1. Now, a big change here is going to be the return of the Anvil receiver for the 301 in the flatline. This was removed a couple seasons ago, and this was a great attachment, especially since if you were running out of ammo, maybe early or late game, and you needed to deal some damage, but you didn't have access to a longer range weapon like a G7 Scout, you could deal more consistent damage while burning less ammo. And I'm going to be happy to see this return to the game. Now, the scary thing is, now that we have the 3030 repeater, we have the G7 Scout, and we're going to have the Anvil receiver on the flatline and the 301 as well, you can expect a lot of ranged poke damage with all of that going on in game. But I am glad that you do have a better way to burn less ammo while consistently dealing damage with the Anvil receiver returning. The volt damage is being nerfed from 16 down to 15, which is interesting because of course you're going to get more R9 use, you're going to get more alternator use because the alternator damage buff is going from 15 to 16, and the volt nerf makes sense because the volt was starting to step on the flat line a little bit as far as a medium range alternative. Now, I did mention the alternator damage being buffed from 15 to 16, so be careful of that indoors. The hip fire on the alternator is scary, and that extra damage is going to make a difference. And the Spitfire is getting a damage buff from 18 up to 19. Now, they're nerfing the reload from 2.8 seconds to 3.2 seconds, and they're nerfing the empty magazine reload speed up to 3.8 seconds. So everyone who was afraid about the gold mag, remember the gold mag is going to be the same as a purple mag. It's going to have the same magazine capacity, but it's going to reload automatically in your inventory. You don't have to worry about that because the gold mag reload speed in your inventory is going to be 5 seconds. And even at its worst, the Spitfire still only takes 3.8 seconds with a completely empty magazine to reload. So the gold mag isn't really that strong. You're probably going to be better off just reloading. It's just going to cost you an extra second. So that's all the changes to Legends, to UI, to weapons and attachments. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and more videos coming soon.